guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Andrea.
I'm Kasey, and today we're going to give you a video on like 7 tips from dating in an interabled relationship. We're going to try to kind of do a unique perspective where I'm going to try to give you tips on someone who's in a chair that's going to be dating someone who's able-bodied or looking for a dating partner. And then Andrea is going to give you a couple tips on her perspective on being able-bodied and dating someone in a wheelchair, or learning and doing and her experience with that. So.
And just a quick disclaimer, we just thought this would be a fun video to make. In no way we're saying that we're experts in the subject or that these are going to work for everyone. So we just get a lot of comments and questions about it that we just thought it'd be a good idea to film it.
I'll start off with my first one, which is, I think, a big deal. It's something that I've tried to do, obviously not perfectly, but growing up and as becoming a person, as I grow and whatever, you know what I mean.
Yes.
So anyways, and that one's don't let the wheelchair define you. So if you don't want other people to see you as much for the chair and you want them to be able to look past that, that has to start with you. If you talk about the chair all the time and you let it define you of who you are, if I let it say I'm Kasey, the guy in the wheelchair, as opposed to I'm Kasey who enjoys sports and outdoors and things like that, and my favorite color is blue, then I'm going to let those things define me as the person that I am and not the wheelchair. The more you are able to do that for yourself, the easier it becomes for other people to then see you as a person first, and as the chair or disability or whatever it might be in your circumstance as a part of you, but not all of you. So it's like having blue hair or blonde eyes. You know, it's a part of you, but it doesn't define you. It doesn't define what your life is. And my chair does not. I don't let it. And that's not always easy to do. It's not always comfortable. But you got to think outside the box, push past those barriers, and not let that happen.
And I gotta say, if I pitched in on Kasey's point, this is a big part as a woman that attracted me to him when we started dating. I of course knew that he used a wheelchair. I had a lot of questions, which will bring me to my point, but it was very attractive to see how he wasn't focused on that. And just like he mentioned it, that's how you've always been, I think, that you don't let the wheelchair define you. It just happens to be a part of you, like you said. Like, some people could be blonde and some people could have brown eyes. So if you're trying to date a woman who's able-bodied and you're in a wheelchair too, this is, I think, a huge one, because it helps the able-bodied person that maybe has never been exposed to any sorts of disabilities and is new to the whole game to see past that. With my point is that it's okay to ask questions. So I was so new to anything from the wheelchair world, I guess I'm gonna call it, and to spina bifida, which is what Kasey was born with. But I asked questions, and a big thing that helped is that he was okay with me and so patient, and you were so calm and very informative to all the questions that I had. He never got flustered about it, and so that made me feel like it's okay, and it should be okay to ask questions. So if you are in a situation where you want to date someone, or you've seen someone around, you're interested, you're curious, you want to see where things would go, ask questions and know that it's okay, because it's going to be a learning game for both of you.
And that kind of leads me into my second one, which is be upfront, but be tactful. So just like kind of Andrea said, she's going to ask, it's okay to ask questions, and she's not going to ask me all like the intimate details of how like my stuff works medically and things like that on our first date. You want to be upfront when people ask you questions, but you don't want to give information overload. There's that definite balance, like, and I remember thinking about this when Andrea and I first met and were past kind of the friendship phase and more into dating. I wanted to share information with her, but also I was admittedly afraid because I didn't want to scare her away or have her judge me. You know, that's for people with disabilities, that can be sometimes a reoccurring thing that happens in your life.
Yeah.
So you have that dichotomy, or not dichotomy. Who talks like that? Not me. You have that balance of, like, one, you really like this girl and you don't want to scare her away, but two, you don't want to. Not that I ever like lied to Andrea about something with my wheelchair or something, but you don't want to share so much that you're going to scare them away. But I guess looking back on that now, my advice would be is you might as well get it out in the open in the beginning to a certain extent, because if you are going to say something that's going to scare them away, might as well be early and you don't have to waste your time on them. And when that happens, because it might, there are people who are shallow-minded in this world.
Right, and then you know that that's not someone you want to be with.
Yeah, and you don't need to waste your time with them. So, you know, like I said, be tactful. And then also part of that as well, though, is be informed about yourself. No, so when she asked questions, I knew the answers. Because, again, back to my first point, if you are hesitant about like, oh, I don't know, I didn't think about that, it's going to make the other person uneasy if you don't even know the things that you should know about yourself.
Right.
So advocate for yourself, be informed about what you need, how your things are going to work, and how you move about your life. And the more of that you have, the easier it's going to be for them to look past the disability, the wheelchair, whatever.
With my second point that I wrote down is keep an open mind. So this is huge to me personally in life as well. I think it makes things easier and you can experience things a lot more positively and be more receptive. So keeping an open mind when it came to our dating experience, well, with together or relationship. What are you doing?
Nothing.
So was that all right? So that I know that the spina bifida, the wheelchair, was new to me. So but I was interested in being with Kasey, getting to know him. So I had to have had an open mind, because I knew that as I kept getting to know Kasey, there would be things that he was going to answer for my questions. You know, things like, can you drive? Can you have kids? Can you have a career? How do you do whatever? One thing we were talking about when we were talking about this video is that different and difficult are not the same thing. So we understand that we do life different and we adapt things that's different for us, but we like to think of it that way as opposed to difficult, because that just gives it a horrible connotation. And I think go ahead.
Well, and I don't think it is necessarily difficult.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
it is different. I get around differently. I do some chores or we do things differently, but it doesn't mean it's difficult. Difficult can be defined like who gets to decide what's difficult for you,
Right. And anything new is difficult anyway. And so like, yes, anything like when he was teaching me how to pull out the wheels off his wheelchair, I thought it was difficult. Or putting them in. Do you remember how many times you had to teach me how to click it in or help you? So that's an example, but is it difficult now? Not really. And even if we have to experience new things together now, we have that mindset now that this will be different.
Okay. My third one really doesn't have much to do with hers, but that's okay. So my third one is confidence, having confidence in yourself, and there's a couple caveats that go along with that. So the more confident in yourself you are, and you're, again, as a person, the easier it is going to be for the other person. Well, you can put them at ease, and it's going to be attractive. Like Andrea's told me that, like when you're confident with yourself, it's attractive for her. And part of that confidence too, though, comes from taking care of yourself. So like you can tell I'm not, and we all know I'm not like the physical specimen of a god or anything like that, but like I do my best to like keep up with like grooming and hygiene and just my physical fitness as much as I can too. And admittedly, sometimes depending on your disability, those everyday things, so to speak, are more difficult to achieve. It can be harder to make sure you're smelling good and that like your chair is taken care of and that kind of stuff. But make the effort, because the more you can make that a daily, everyday thing for yourself and make it feel, quote, normal, even if it might not be, comparatively, like who gets to decide what normal is. But the easier it will be, again, for someone to, when they don't have to look past grubbiness and stank, then it's easier for them to look past the chair as well when they see you as the person you are first, and not as the disability you have.
It's not that we are vain, and we're all human. We do look first, but if you're new to this dating game and you're interested in someone, it did play a big part. Like Kasey made sure that he did laundry, that he washed his wheelchair seat, after practice, or after working out, because it's like anything else. You gotta clean and wipe your chair down, and like do laundry, shave. Those things will help, and I think that helps build confidence in anyone. My last point that I kind of grouped together is have patience for family and friends that will maybe are asking you questions right now if you're new to the dating interabled game, or that they will question. Yeah, I don't know, or that or that will ask you, or that maybe because your family, some of those friends that those people that will start asking you questions about it, maybe criticizing to a point. So the way that I dealt with this as the able-bodied person dating somebody in a wheelchair was different depending on who it was. So for family, you can't change your family, you can't change your friends, okay, and it depends on your situation. But the family, you can't change them, and it depends on the relationship you have with those family members. Like my mom and dad's opinion is still important to me, and that was a hard thing to get past when we started dating, because they did have a lot of worries, a lot of questions. They had issues. They had an issue actually with me dating Kasey at the beginning. They love Kasey now, but the way I dealt with that with my parents was having the biggest amount of patience I think I've had in my life, and being okay with educating them, just like I learned all the new things with our relationship and with Kasey.
Over time, be willing to understand that people, when they ask questions or have opinions or have doubts, a lot of it comes from misinformation. So be willing and open-minded to educate them and be patient with them to show them that like their idea of me providing for Andrea might be different, but it doesn't mean I can't. People will come around, and if they're family, they love you and will understand that. And then I guess you were going to kind of talk more friends,
right?
Or
and with
people who you're not obligated to get along.
Right. So I did have friends in college that unfortunately were not friends anymore, because they couldn't see why I wanted to be with somebody in a wheelchair. These friends had known me from being in a relationship with another able-bodied person, relationships that I left because they weren't good relationships, obviously. But once I introduced them to Kasey, they weren't okay with it. And was it hard? Definitely. It was hard. I was upset a lot. I would vent to Kasey about it. But I'm not anymore, because, they couldn't see you past the wheelchair like I could. And I wasn't willing to keep dealing, I guess, with their criticism and opinions and let those bring me down. So it's like anything in life. If it's not working out, you kind of, you let them go. And I'm happier too because of that. Honestly, I am, because we've been together for 10 years now and married for 5, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And so again, have the same patience, and you know what kind of friends you have, what kind of relationships you have with them. So you will know what your limit is with your patience and with educating, which I do completely support. Do that, answer for people, go out on dates like I would with Kasey, with those friends. But there's gonna be a point where if they don't see it, just won't, and that's not something for you to deal with. So
it's not worth your time. Cut ties, move on, because those people are not worth. I used to get angry sometimes with
Me too, yeah.
people in public, sometimes like that, but it's just not worth it. It's not worth the energy. Spend it on people that love you and are going to understand you, and people who want to learn and educate themselves and move forward. If they don't want to do that, they want to be sticks in the mud, let them be sticks in the mud, because they're going to be like that about everything. So you, as the disabled person or the person in the chair or whatever, it's important that you have that confidence too, that you might have to deal with some of that criticism or being able to be supportive to your significant other, the person you're dating, date, as they deal with that. And so if you have the confidence, you need to have the confidence in yourself that you can do these things or whatever, that they're having all these doubts from other people coming in, and being able to still be supportive. So you need to be in like that good, confident spot in and of yourself. So because you might end up having to not only support yourself and remind yourself of that, but also remind someone else of that as well.
I think that's it, right?
No, I got one more.
You got? Okay, go ahead.
last one, and I think it's almost as important as my first one, and that's work on your independence. So regardless of what disability you have or what your quote limitations are, know again what your limitations are, explore those for yourself. Like, it's not defined by some doctor at the hospital who tells you, well, you have this and this, so these are the things you're going to be able to do. Like, it brings me back to a story that my dad told me about when I was first born, and he almost punched the doctor because they came in and they said, my parents didn't know I had spina bifida until the day I was born. And the doctor came in and he just literally started listing to my dad all these things I wasn't going to be able to do. And my dad got really angry. Like, obviously, that's a big shock to find this out and then for the doctor to do that. But, like...
And it included, like, when Dave told me the story, it included normal, I guess, not normal things like he would never be able to play sports, he will never be able to go to school. It was, like,
and he wrapped up the conversation with, and you might just want to have him institutionalized or like, put in a home. And obviously that's not where I am today. And he's told me that story in the past, and I try to live as much as I can proving to that doctor and those types of people that you can't define that, okay, person with this type of disability, with this thing, this is what they have. So anyways, work on your independence and know what that is for you. And the more confidence you have in that and the more information you can give about that, and the more independent you can be, whether that, no matter how outside the box of thinking you need to get around those things, the easier it's going to be for you to be in that relationship and
with
to get
someone
over
else.
get over some of those other things.
Like, basically easier to bring someone else to your circle, someone else new to your life.
Yeah, you've got to have your foundation set before you can bring someone else in and be part of their foundation.
And it's totally okay if you need help. We're not saying that you're not going to be fully independent or whatever that independence will be. The point is that you know enough so that you can move forward with someone and start that relationship, that couple's relationship.
And it's just more about knowing what independence for you is. And again, finding that out is not going to always be comfortable. But anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's other comments or questions you guys have for us and what we kind of went through in the beginning parts of our relationship, what we go through now, drop a comment down below.
Or even if you have other tips, like we are so happy when people engage with the comments below to help each other. So maybe there's other stuff that have worked for you guys or tips that you would give someone else.
Yeah, and if this is your first video, don't forget to subscribe. We post usually once a week. Hit a like if you liked the video, and we'll see you on the next Adapted Adventures.